So long ago, I had a quite in-depth conversation with the old YouTuber Alex Day, and we were talking about like how you find success on YouTube, and well, even off platform of YouTube, but like how individuals find success. It was kind of a more of an existential conversation more than anything else, and we went back and forth. Very long. They're almost like letters, like John Adams to Thomas Jefferson sized DM letters on Twitter, but he said something really interesting, which I think he got from a book, which is that usually in order to be successful, you either have to be the first, the best, or the biggest at something. One of those three. That he doesn't usually start a project unless he can be one of those three, either the first, the best, or the biggest. Now this camera angle right here is giving me very much Tyler Lopez vibes, Here in my bedroom, just with my new pillow. But you know what I like more than red pillows? News. But getting back to the point, which is that first, best, or biggest. Those three also apply to telling the news and to being a good journalist or a good reporter, whether that be a print reporter or a video journalist or a producer, especially in the digital landscape. And the first one is easy, right? We all know of digital media companies, news companies that really focus on breaking news. Some of them are good at it, some of them aren't so good at it, but that's their niche, right? They double down on just breaking news. And some news companies have just breaking news divisions, and that's one they pour a lot of resources into, making sure that their breaking news division is very good. And you can be breaking news on politics or, entertainment news or cultural news or, geopolitical news. It doesn't really matter. TMZ, for much as people want to rag on them, they're very good at breaking entertainment news, right? That's their bread and butter, and what their business model is all about is breaking entertainment news, getting the latest scoops on what's going on in the 30-mile zone. That's the name TMZ. But the other two can also work for journalism. And often the goal for most media companies, outside of being, the kind of breaking news engine, is to be the best, right? And the good example of that is the Vox model. They doubled down very narrowly on YouTube for a really long time, and they were willing to take not a lot of views and hits for years after years after years. Hits, and I mean like not showing a great, upward hockey stick graph on their quarterly reports. But to slowly nurture and culture their YouTube channel in such a way that they were always putting out consistently quality content and iterating on it. They never fell into the kind of quick turn 45-second video trap that a lot of other digital media companies like Business Insider or Attention or even BuzzFeed fell into. BuzzFeed's actually a good counterexample to Vox in a lot of ways. If you look at BuzzFeed Video, which is their main YouTube page, they're not getting very many views these days. They're barely hitting over 100,000 views. And this is BuzzFeed Video, the original BuzzFeed page. It's something like 15 million subscribers. That's quite a lot. It has 6 times the amount of subscribers that Vox has, yet Vox's engagement is, over 1 million every video, and BuzzFeed's barely hitting 100,000. Digital media company aside, a lot of people focus, internally as a one-on-one job about trying to be the best at their work, and that gets into perfectionism and all kinds of, interesting psychological quirks. But to be the best writer, the best, person that covers the financial beat or the technology beat or the, LGBTQ beat or whatever it may be, right? They want to be the best at it. But the problem with that is that when you're working in news and journalism is a very subjective art form at the end of the day. As much as we in the business like to pretend it might be, objective hard science like biology or physics, it's really not. It's quite a soft science, much closer to, sociology or something. And the third one, though, is to be the biggest, right? And that's a kind of game of scale. And the goal there is just to grow. And if once you reach a size of scale, if you're just the biggest at something, you're therefore just generate enough traffic. And so even if your story isn't exactly the best, right, or it's not breaking, per se, it'll still get a lot of traction and traffic just by nature of it being the largest platform. So even let's say if Politico breaks most of the political stories, because Politico is not as big as the New York Times, right? Even if the New York Times picks it up after Politico, New York Times is going to get more traffic just because New York Times is a bigger, more well-known organization. And this can also apply to, being a reporter or a video producer or anything, both at the macro scale of a business sense, but also as an individual in the sense that, You can focus less at being the best at your niche, right, in whatever subjective sense that is, but being the biggest. And the biggest is in some ways the easiest metric to objectively quantify, and that you're just the biggest. You get the most concurrent traffic to your post or to your article or to your video. You get the most views. You get the highest engagement rate. And in the era we live in now, it's very easy to quantify those metrics on the back end, whether that's be the digital media company you works for's own internal sites and internal metrics, or Google Analytics, or YouTube Analytics, or Facebook's Creator Studio Analytics. You can show, you can see if you do have really good engagement. You can see if your engagement, if you're a video producer, if your video views and your video engagement's better than the girl who sits next to you. Or if you're a print reporter, you can see if you drive more concurrent traffic to the website on your story versus the other reporters on your beat. So if you have 4, technology reporters and you're one of them, if your articles are consistently getting the most views, you could quantifiably say at least like, hey, I'm the biggest, I'm drawing in the biggest numbers. I'm the biggest. And it's doubling down on either being the biggest, right? The best. So the biggest is quite an easy metric on some level to quantify. The best, which is hard to do because it's such a subjective, not art form, but trade journalism is, or the first, the breaking news game. And so as you're getting into journalism, or you're leaving J school and starting out as an intern or kind of a cub reporter, those 3 things are really important to keep in mind, and I would recommend choosing one of them to pursue if you're going to narrowly focus on how you want it to grow in your career. And that's either be first, best, or biggest. Anyway, just a thought. If you want me to talk about something in another video, you can leave a comment down below, or you can click around and keep watching. Thanks as always for watching, guys. I will see you tomorrow.